Alright guys, for today's video I'm going to be showing you my reforestation project I'm currently working on out here at my property in West Tennessee. So guys, what I'm actually going to be planting today is going to be a hickory grove. So I got a mix of 10 shagbark and then 10 shellbark hickories here, and they're bare root saplings. So I'm going to spread them throughout this whole area down here and all throughout this open area and fill it in with some nice beautiful hickory trees. So guys, the first thing I always recommend doing for planting a tree in general or reforestation is marking and knowing your plant area. It's very important. I've gone around and flagged, I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but I flagged all of my spots where I plan on planting my 20 saplings. And I've surveyed and looked at the surrounding trees. I got some really big oaks over here, and if a branch were to fall, would it take out my saplings, and so on, just to make sure that the saplings I plant get a good amount of sunlight. They're out in the open, they're going to be protected, from branches, debris, and all that kind of stuff. Just because this is an investment, and I really would hate to see a tree branch fall on them, or they're not getting enough sunlight or something like that. So now that I have flagged and marked my area, I'm going to move on to digging my holes, and I'm going to show you guys a clip of that, because when you're planting bare root, you don't have to plant the hole that big as much as when you're planting like a potted tree, like in my other videos. But you do also want to make the soil surrounding it pretty loose. And I'm lucky enough the ground is really moist out here, and it is early spring. And the best time I would recommend, guys, for reforesting and planting in general is going to be early spring, before all the leaves come in and the grass gets real tall. While there's a lot of moisture in the air, we've had a lot of rain out here in West Tennessee, and in the fall time when it's colder out, it's cool, there's a lot of moisture in the air as well, and the roots can really get established through the winter period. So guys, I'm going to cut to the next clip, which is me actually showing you digging the hole and showing you the root base of these bare root saplings. Something I forgot to mention in the last clip, guys, is I always like to make sure I clear a spot or clear the planting area before I actually go ahead and plant my sapling, just because, especially in an open area like this one, where the grass is definitely going to be coming in, full force in the spring and summertime. I always think it's wise to take a weed eater, and if you don't even have a weed eater, use hedge clippers, some loppers, and just trim around all the grass and remaining growth, just so when spring does come around, and especially when you're planting bare root saplings and they're not that tall, that the grass doesn't overtake your saplings. Alright guys, so I went ahead and dug my hole, and as you guys can see, the ground out here in West Tennessee and the Southeast in general, I would just really say the South, is just so full of clay. I mean, it's pretty much it out here. But anyways, guys, I made sure I dug my hole pretty wide and pretty straight down. I would highly recommend getting a shovel like this one versus your typical kind of spade shovel like that, because this kind of shovel you can dig more straight, vertical, and downward. And when you're digging and planting bare root, the bare root saplings, usually the roots are 12 inches to a foot long. So it's always best, you want to dig more predominantly straight down. It's just a lot easier with that kind of shovel. But anyways, guys, so I've went ahead and I put in my hickory sapling, and I've made sure that it is level with its ground level. So my root crown starts a little bit below right here, but this, as you can see where it was buried before when it was actually potted and planted, this is where it was at. So this looks good. It's looking nice and level. So what I did is I went ahead and added a nice layer of compost and manure to my sapling, and now I'm just going to simply backfill in my sapling, and it should look really good. And after that, we're gonna make sure we stake it and flag it properly. Now, something else I think is important to add is, especially when you're planting bare root, is you definitely want to make sure that you are watering these. And something I always like to do is right before I have all my dirt filled up to the ground level, so it's sunken in a little bit, is I like to go ahead and water my tree. Because the trees are going to be going through a good deal of shock regardless, no matter how well you actually transplant the tree. The roots are being disturbed, they're being exposed to air for a little bit, so I always want to go ahead and water them, even if the ground is really moist like it is right now, just to reduce the chances of loss and to help with the root shock. So after I do that, guys, I always like to add another thin layer of compost, manure, humus, whatever else, even just some shrub and dirt soil, and then I'm going to build back on a little bit more dirt. I make sure I pack it down a little bit. As you can see, there's a lot of air pockets in there, and then I go ahead and add my mulch and flag it. So I have finished planting this Chamard oak, and what I did, guys, is I put a nice, I'd say, an inch of mulch around it. I always like to put mulch. I've added a lot of bamboo barriers just because of deer, squirrels, anything that could possibly scrape and eat it. I have lost a lot of trees, guys, to deer, squirrels, animals just rooting, trying to eat at the roots. It happens all the time, and it sucks when you got a really beautiful tree that you want to grow. It's so small, and it's an investment. These aren't cheap. So, guys, I've went ahead and flagged it, marked it. What I'm doing for these, because I got the two species, is I got the 2 stripes or the 2 flags is for the shagbark, and then the 3 is for the shellbark hickory. So that is going to conclude me planting a sapling. I'll go ahead and walk around and show you guys some of the other ones I have planted and this grove of hickories that I hope you guys can see on camera, all the flags I got all around over here, because I've planted around 20 over here. So it's got another one. I had a couple of these wire cages left, so I went ahead and used them on these hickories. But guys, I mean, that is going to conclude this video on my reforestation project of a hickory grove. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I mean, I love reforestation. I love pastures, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing better than nice hardwood trees. So I can't wait one day until, you know, I'm older and I come back over here and I see a bunch of trees, hopefully around, you know, that size, if not bigger, eventually one day like that, you know, nice and big. And like I said, you know, I planted those years ago. There's no better time to plant a tree than now. But I mean, that's going to conclude this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope this inspires you guys to go out and, you know, try and reforest land if you have land available. If not, you know, volunteer at your local state park, you know, help out. There's always options. I'm fortunate enough to have land to reforest, you know, I know that. I'm very blessed. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will definitely be doing follow-up videos on these trees later on in the springtime once they fully bloom, and that's going to be it for this video.